Hello, my name is Curly Ellis, president of the World Apostolic Church of Christ, coming to you this morning or evening, depending on where you are in the world. I wanted to come to you for a minute to talk about ministry in South Africa. As many of you know, I've been raising funds, I've been sharing my GoFundMe page on a number of fronts on X, formerly known as Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and we are raising funds primarily now for Zambia, South Africa, and Malawi, countries that have varying degrees of development. But one of the things I want to share with you is that we're not doing things in a traditional manner. And what I mean by that is that the church has been operating missionary works in Africa for a very long time, since colonization. And those efforts have been positive and negative in some aspects. Positive because it brought the scriptures to a people that needed to hear the word and the hope of the gospel, but destructive in some aspects because it destroyed some of their culture. It was a part of a program that, in a number of ways, stripped people of their rights. And so the thing was that over the years, anytime that you see anything regarding Africa, it's always about ministering to hunger, their impoverished state, if you will. And so we raise money, we give them money to buy water and food, and 20, 40, 60 years later, the situation has not changed. And primarily because the church has taken a humanitarian stance when it comes to people, giving them food and things of that nature, but they have not really built people. And what I mean by that is that the people, even though they know and are familiar with the scriptures, they don't have skills that will allow them to be complete. I can believe in Christ and love Christ, but that doesn't mean that I'm a great businessman. It doesn't mean that I understand how to market my skills or how to use, labor practices to enrich my family or put them in a position to succeed. And that has been a big problem. Our organization is taking a stance that we want to improve the life of people in Africa on a social level, not just offering Bible studies, but offering to build something in their communities that all people, whether they're Christian or of different faiths, can take advantage of. And that is the creation of technical schools. Technical schools offer them a ability to acquire a skill. They can go work in a mine. They can even travel abroad and use those skills. They can go to places like Europe, America, where they can acquire funds through their skills, not just simply offering, the $20 or American dollars that we offer in Africa that allows them to buy a couple of meals. No, providing them and equipping them with skills is something that will change their families and change generations, will allow them to acquire wealth. That is the thing that, as I worked in Africa doing missionary work for the better part of this whole year in places like Zimbabwe and Botswana, places where there's severe inequality, no respect for women. The schools there are rife with embezzlement, sexual exploitation for grades, things of that nature. And we plan to offer safeguards to protect and promote an atmosphere of learning and empowerment, teaching things like family stability, teaching them about HIV prevention, creating clean and safe water plants so that their water is free from disease and pollution. Those are big those are big projects, but they will produce in the people an atmosphere of safety and prosperity. And so that's why we're raising funds. We're taking a different approach to missionary work. We want to build a people that won't have to necessarily ask for anything, but they can use those skills to acquire what they need. You know, in the United States, sometimes we see people and they're standing on the side of the road and they want money, and there's a stigma attached to that. You know, we chide them or correct them and ask them, well, why won't you go and work? And you know, in America, there's jobs. If there's a McDonald's nearby, there's a job. Well, in Africa, it's totally different. There's no fast food. There's mining. There's all kind of natural resources, but they have to have skills, woodworking, plant skills, to understand chemical engineering, things of that nature. We want to provide for them if they want to go to school. We want to provide scholarships. We want them to acquire the skills. That way they don't have to reach out to the rest of the world and say, can you provide for us? No, if we get those donations and we get those funds that are needed to empower the people, we will use those to educate. We will use those to empower. We will use those to encourage. And I don't want to keep sharing pictures I've shared a number of pictures from Africa where people are on the street or people are outside, even houses of worship that don't have walls, don't have seats, don't have coverings. It's a real shame. You know, even the poorest of Americans, there's shelters and there's places that they can go, food pantries, but there are no such facilities in those parts of Africa I mentioned. There's no middle class. You're either very poor or very rich. There's no in between. But I believe that we can create a people that will fill that void and bring prosperity to Africa. So I'm going to share my GoFundMe link. I'm going to share information on how you can give. If you want more information on what we're doing, or if you want to ask about this program, I call it Repair Africa. I think just reach out to me via WhatsApp +1 832-216-0632, or you can reach me by email, Ellis, ELLIS 1974-1223 @gmail.com. I know that's a long email address, but I hope that you can remember it. If not, text me and I'll give it to you. You can also reach me on Instagram, Ellis1974, or X, formerly known as Twitter, at Ellis1974-1223. Give so that you can build the people. We don't necessarily ask you to take responsibility for everything that has happened in Africa, but we ask that you would take the responsibility to help repair Africa.